We're back.
We're back. Redefined is here and
We're evolving. We're getting better each week.
We are. And
we've got a fireplace in front of us now.
Cozy blankets.
Oh my goodness. We're just living the life.
Our decor, all of it.
I got a cool text from my mom this morning being like, I'm so excited for this. You guys are changing so many things. It's so cool. Your mom's here right now.
I know. Shout out mom from Wisconsin.
So cool. Yeah. Really, really special.
I know.
Speaking of kick-ass women, we've got Rebecca Lowe in the house. She's not in the house. She's online, but that's okay.
We wish she was in the house. In the garden.
She's welcome to come to the house whenever, but we got her online and get to talk to her for a little while here.
Yeah, she is a wonderful human being. Everyone knows about her being such a renowned broadcaster and host.
And on Ted Lasso.
And Ted Lasso. Sorry. Ted Lasso means not much
for all the non-soccer people.
Yeah.
Who's on Ted Lasso?
Yeah. Her infectious personality is just incredible. And I could talk to her all day. So pumped to welcome our next guest to our show, Rebecca Lowe. She is an incredible broadcaster, host. You'll see her on NBC Sports every week. You've seen her in the Olympics, Kentucky Derby. But I think just a wonderful human being and also a fellow mom. And I can't wait to hear more of her stories and just how she lives this like jet life lifestyle, literally.
When was the first time you met Rebecca?
I only met her a couple years ago.
Okay.
We actually were in Sacramento. She does work for the Sacramento Storm. And I met her and I felt like we've known each other like for 20 years. We've known of each other. But you know when you just meet someone and you're like,
connect.
Yeah. She's awesome. She's down to earth. She's got this infectious personality. And I'm so pumped to be able to talk to her. So
can't wait.
Should we welcome Rebecca to the show?
Yeah.
Rebecca, welcome to Redefined.
Oh, what a lovely introduction. You got me all a little bit like tearful. That's so lovely, Leslie. And I felt exact same about you, by the way. Absolutely straight away, immediate. Just could have chatted all night. It was so lovely meeting you back then. But also thank you so much for having me on your amazing new pod. Congratulations.
Thank you. We should also say congratulations to you. Are you like the #1 podcast right now? Is that
in the world? #1 podcast in the world.
In the whole world. Yeah.
Wow.
No, I think it's, I think they want to call it more of a digital show. So it's more of a YouTube based than audio. And so I think they released something yesterday that said we're the most watched soccer digital show on YouTube.
So incredible.
It came out in August. So so that was nice.
Tell us about Ted Lasso. I have to ask. Ted Lasso. Okay, so just backstory. My soccer career ended when I was in second grade. And
did it even start?
It barely started. I was on an all boys team and I was the only girl on the team. And I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I played the whole time. It was amazing, but it started, it ended. So I'm not the biggest soccer person in the world, but I have seen every episode, every second of Ted Lasso. Leslie, biggest soccer player ever, has not seen a second of Ted Lasso, which is...
We watched 20 minutes and that was
bananas to me that she has not seen any of it. So first off, everybody can hate on that because that's wild to me.
It's like those people from Grey's Anatomy that when you talk to doctors and nurses and you're like, do you watch Grey's Anatomy? And they're like, no.
Except but this is like one of the best shows on earth. And I've had people showing up to my house for Halloween dressed as Ted Lasso for the past 5 years now. Like it's, I just
couldn't get on with it. And I mean, of course, only your episode.
Can you tell us about your involvement and everything about this?
Yeah, I mean, literally every detail. Well, it all started back in 2013. Do you ladies know about the promo? Okay, so we were told when I joined NBC in 2013, they said, we're going to do a huge marketing campaign. We've got these guys, Jason Sudeikis, Brendan Hunt, they've written us a skit. I'm thinking, oh God, no offense, but in 2013, I was like, oh God, Americans doing Premier League? Oh God, is this going to be good? Oh God, is this going to be, what have I signed up for? Anyway, obviously amazing, hilarious, hysterical. A year later, they said, we're going to do the return of Ted Lasso and we would like to do it at the studios and we'd like you to be in it. Honestly, girls, I was like, what? No, I mean, I trained to be an actress, but this is Saturday Night Bloody Live.
Yes.
This is not me, little actor in somewhere in England. So I turn up and they're like, all right. I said, so where's the script? And they said, no. It's just all ad lib. It's just all improv. Just like Saturday Night Live. I'm like, what? No, I need
I don't
lines.
do that.
I need times I'm coming in. I need all of this.
I love it.
And they're like, just go on the set with Jason. You'll be fine. I was like, oh my God. So I'm on the set. And to be fair, he is the biggest professional of all time. And he got me through it. We had to do a lot of takes because I was laughing a lot. And actually, if you watch closely, you can see that my face is struggling. That was one of the best days of my career, obviously, filming with Jason Sudeikis and Brendan Hart and being in this amazing ad commercial that's gone viral since then. And then, of course, it disappeared, right? That was 2014. Roll around 2020 and we hear that Ted Lasso is becoming a TV show. And I'm thinking, is that going to work? I had more confidence than maybe a lot of people just because I knew the guys. But other than Leslie, everybody else in the whole world watched it and went like, this might be the greatest TV show of all time. And somewhere in between that, I think it was just before we did the podcast, he said, we want to get you on as to play yourself in a cameo. And I was like, where do I sign? Immediately, I'm there, get me on.
Yeah.
And it was me and Jermaine Genius, who I've known for years. And it was so surreal, girls. It was in London. It was quite near where I grew up, where the studios were. And I knew Jason obviously from years ago. And he's so unassuming. And I was standing there on the set trying to learn my lines because they did actually give me lines. And I'm trying to learn them. Now I'm like, can't remember any of them. And I'm standing there trying to learn these lines. And I just realized someone was standing there and I kind of looked to my right and it was just Jason Sudeikis in a baseball cap, just super like unassuming and just like, hey, how are you?
Okay.
This is in the Ted Lasso set. I mean, the whole thing was just mad and so grateful. And it was incredible. And to be a little part of that is truly magic. And to think that it all started because NBC won the rights to the Premier League is even crazier. So totally. I'm so proud, just so proud to be linked to it. Yeah.
So awesome. Cool. So maybe Ricky and I will give it. Yeah. Well, maybe we should give another chance, especially after.
I think you should give it another go.
All right. I'll report back.
Please do.
We're going to start off and play a little game that we like to do with our guests. Just a little rapid fire questions. Okay. Keep you on your toes over there. Yeah. Take a sip of your tea. I know you're a little nervous for these questions, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Pre-game food or ritual?
Oh my God. I love this one. It is such a huge part of my pre-game, as in pre-show. But you know what? Because I get up so early on the weekends to do the show. So the show on a Saturday on NBC starts at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And on a Sunday, it's 8 a.m. So what I worry a little bit about eating before the show and getting tired when I've got 8 hours of live TV coming up. So I always have a cup of tea. Always. I mean, if there's no tea, there's a major issue. So a big cup of tea while I'm in hair and makeup. And then as soon as the pre-game show is done at 7:30 in the morning, it is eggs, turkey, bacon and potatoes immediately needed, have to have, and then another cup of tea. So we're at like at least 2 teas by 8 o'clock and usually 3 by 10 a.m. It's all about tea, ladies. I did do the fasting for a while.
Ooh,
I did about 9 months of absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
When I tell you that I'm like an all or nothing person. So I wasn't like, I'll just fast for 16 hours and eat for 8. No. I'm now fasting at like 21 hours, 22 hours. One point I did a 36-hour fast just because I'm one of those annoying people that just have to go to extremes.
Yeah.
It was depressing to say the least. I would not recommend it to anybody.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah.
What sport, if you were going to pick a sport, not soccer, what sport is your favorite, best at, or you are good at?
I think I'm quite good at tennis.
Okay.
Ooh. I think I'm pretty good. My husband plays every day and he's like I don't know if people listening will probably know what this means. He's a 4-5, which I think is quite good in the USTA ranking situation. I mean, we're not talking he's ranked or anything.
Yeah.
He's like a good level of tennis. And when I play with him, he's like, You've never played before. I'm like, I know. I am.
Like, I know.
Thank you so much.
I do. I'm an athlete. I know. Right? And he says he thinks I could hold my own in the 3-5 women, which sounds to me, I don't know what that means, but I like the sound of it. The problem is I'm not really in a space in my life to be competitive. Like I have 25 years of being competitive in my career.
We have the same exact feeling.
You're the same, right?
Yep.
I don't want to be all stressed out on the tennis court. I don't want to do it. So maybe like in 10 or 15 years time, but right now I just, my talents are reserved for playing with Paul and Teddy. And they can just enjoy how good I am. So tennis, I think is the answer.
Tennis or pickleball?
Oof. Oh, that's like a swear word in this house.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, people feel very strongly.
Yeah, people love it. I've never played it. I think it's definitely in my future. My husband will not have it.
Hey, I have a serious question. Did you play soccer when you were younger?
Leslie, nobody in England played soccer in the 90s. Well, no females anyway, because it was banned, let's not forget, until 1971 for women to play football in England. So in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up, it had only not been banned for about 15 years, which is ridiculous. And it just wasn't a thing. It just wasn't a thing. I didn't play soccer until I went to high school in Pennsylvania for 1 year, age 18. I was dreadful, but I loved every minute of it. And they thought I'd be good because I was British. I was like, I'm going to be great. And it was terrible. I kicked a ball, I kicked a ball in the backyard with my brother, but it just wasn't a thing. It never crossed my mind to play, ever.
It's wild. You and Kate Abdo, like two of the best female broadcasters in the world, and you both did not touch a football and are incredible like analysts and broadcasters and can break it down a game like no other. And it's amazing to me that you never really were able to touch a ball. It's crazy. All right, last rapid fire question. What's your walkout song if you were to pick one?
Oh my gosh. I know. Never thought about that.
For example, mine is Tiny Dancer by Elton John.
Really? That's a great song.
It's kind of a joke, but it's very, very great.
I'm going like with a T.I.
I'm probably going pretty hard on it too, but Tiny Dancer is just such a good answer to that question.
Oh my God. It is. I'm going T.I.
Have you guys heard of Robbie Williams?
No.
Oh my God, this is so
some
sad,
Brit
you guys.
Singer?
So he's a Brit. He actually has a movie out in the movie theaters right now called Better Man, which is about his life. He is a very famous British music singer. Used to be in a boy band that I loved when I was, 12/17. And he is amazing. And his song, Rock DJ, probably no one's heard of it. Who's listening?
Somebody's going to. Somebody's going to be like, that's a banger.
Rock DJ is a great little dance move to it. And it is a winner. So Rock DJ by Robbie Williams. That's my song.
Great.
Yeah, that's it, Leslie. You got it.
For me, being a mom on the go, Lycra is really the only way to go. Oh, did you hear that?
That was nice.
That was nice.
That was really nice.
I mean, I'm working out with them on, I'm showering and then putting them back on to be in mom mode.
I feel like it washes well. And for us, things need to wash well. And Lycra washes so well.
There's nothing that makes me feel as like cozy, comfy, and like ready to tackle whatever I need to tackle. That's why I'm obsessed.
Lycra's the best.
Okay, aside from Ted Lasso, what has been your most redefining moment so far?
Oh gosh, I have two really, ladies, and I can't decide between both of them, and you'll know why when I quickly tell you both of them, because one took me in a huge leap and then the other one took me in another huge leap. So the first one was applying for a competition when I was 21 years of age to become the BBC's next soccer reporter. And I was just out of university. I was literally just graduating and I was going to be an actress. And that was the plan. And a friend of mine had been, this is how long ago this was, she'd been to a record store to buy some CDs back in the day. And she'd been at the checkout. Right? Well, let's bring them back. And she'd been at the checkout and there was a leaflet right there, like a pamphlet thing that she picked up that said BBC Talent. And it was basically the BBC, who, for anyone listening, is essentially like NBC, I guess, but even bigger in England. They were running a series of competitions to find new talent in front of the screen and also producers and things behind the screen. And she said to me, look, you are a huge football fan. And this was in 2001 and even in 2002. And even in 2002, there weren't many female football fans in England. So I was kind of this weird anomaly at university that everyone knew, oh, Rebecca, she loves football. It's weird, but she loves football. And my friend said to me, here you go, you love football. You should try this out. And I thought, you know what? It's 2002. Maybe they'd be looking for a woman. Maybe we're ready. Maybe the world is ready for a woman to talk about football. And why not? I might as well. And I was applying for quite a few different things as you do when you graduate. So I applied for it and forgot all about it. And I got a letter, 4 or 5 months later through my mum's front door because I'd moved back home and I was working like the early shift at a radio station, making people cups of tea and coffee. And I got a letter saying, you're through to the next round. And I thought, of what? Oh yeah, I've got to completely forgot about this competition. And then I kept getting through to the next round and the next round and the next round. And then I finally got through to the final. I thought, okay, now this is getting a little bit serious. And I turned up at BBC Television Centre in London and there was 7 of us in the final. There were 5 women and 2 men. And I thought, Wow. I think they might be after a woman. I wonder, BBC begun to be very much more into, I suppose in those days you'd say it was political correctness. I'm not sure they actually necessarily believed in a woman in football, but I think they felt they had to have a woman in football. Yeah. So I thought I had a chance, and I hadn't really thought about this competition at all until after that day where we had to go through various things on camera and do interviews and stuff. I walked out and it was dark. I'll never forget it. And I looked around and it said BBC Television Centre on the side of this building that I'd seen for years on television. My dad had worked there. And I remember thinking, oh no, I really want this now. I really, really want this. I've got to win this now. It was like the first time I really thought I want this. And I got a call 2 days later to say that I'd won.
Wow.
And that they were going to give me this 6-month contract on the network flagship soccer shows, Match of the Day, Football Focus, Final Score. And I would be a reporter out and about interviewing Premier League players and reporting from games. And so I started a couple of weeks later, and I thought, well, I'll do 6 months. That was what the deal was. And then I'll probably just go back and try to be an actress again. But that was it. I never left. So that was the first huge redefine. When I tell you I'd wanted to be an actress since I was 3 or 4 years old. And then for that moment to happen at 21 and change the entire direction of my life was incredible. And then that was in 2002. And then in 2013 or 2012, I was actually all ready to leave the profession. 10 years on, I just felt I just still didn't think England had really been ready for a woman to get to the very top of football broadcasting, because football in England is a bit like the NFL, obviously in America. It's just all and everything and all encompassing. And no woman had really got to the top. And I was the number 2 at the time at ESPN UK. And I just thought, I'm never going to get to be number 1. I'm just never going to do it. Plus, I just found the job as a sideline reporter on the Premier League the most it was thankless. It was miserable. I really didn't like it. And I thought, you know what, maybe I've done 10 years. Maybe I'm done. I'll go and do something else. And then my phone rang within a week of me telling my fiance I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to start a bed and breakfast is what I said. I actually bought a book about how to start a bed and breakfast in my house in the countryside.
I love everybody's backup plans for what they. Right? That should be a question in our lightning round from now on. Is what is people's backup plans? Because mine is to run a dog kennel, a easy, stressless. Like that's a great. I'll play with the puppies all day long. That's a great, wonderful. That's the backup plan. I love everybody's backup plan.
I think we all need one in our minds. It helps us, I think, mentally when we're struggling. You really have. I always think about it. So I was going to do a B&B. And I had this book ready and I was learning about it. Bloody hell, glad I didn't. It looked really hard, this book. I was like, this looks really hard, guys. And then I got a call a week later from my agent saying, are you sitting down? Yes. NBC have just called. They would like you to front up their Premier League coverage in America. What is happening? So those 2 moments really, every 10 years really redefined everything about my life.
Wow. It's incredible, like hearing your story. Everything happens for a reason. I mean, you grew up in a household. Your dad was at BBC for how many years? 27 years. So you grew up in this household. Do you think that growing up in that made you want to go into that business, or you talked a lot about wanting to become an actress? Did you actually want to not be in that business and somehow you end up being in the TV broadcasting, ultimately? But talk about like the way you grew up and ultimately where you landed.
So my mum was an actress, and I think that's sometimes with the mother-daughter relationship, you often look to be like them in some way. And because that's what she did up until having me and my brother, and then she stopped because it's just a nightmare of an industry to be in at the best of times, let alone when you've got babies. I think I just thought, well, I knew I had something in terms of performing. I loved to perform from an early age. So I just kind of thought, well, mum was an actress, which means I must have some of those genes, and I love being on the stage. So that'll just be the natural thing. When I watched my dad on TV, as proud of him as I was, and used to love having him there, it never crossed my mind to go into journalism, because he was a journalist. My stepdad was a journalist. He was a newspaper journalist. My brother went into journalism. My stepsister was a journalist. Everybody was, and a bit like what we said a minute ago about not wanting to do what everyone else does. I was thinking, well, that's not me. I'm an actress. So it never, ever, ever crossed my mind that I'd go into that world. But I suppose now I look back, I absorbed so much of that exciting, fast-paced, live world through my dad and a bit through my mum with acting, that there was only ever one direction. It was just going to be what sort of type of performing would it be? Would it be more of the live TV or would it be the acting? So I do think that definitely had an effect. Yeah.
You were born to be on camera, Clearly.
For sure. 100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Aww. I mean, kind of like you grew up in this volleyball household.
So background on me a little bit. My dad was a collegiate coach. My mom played professionally. They met coaching. So I grew up, I was homeschooled till I was in 6th grade, traveled with my dad's team until I was in 6th grade and just kind of was on the bus, grew up as like a coach's kid. And that really, it affected me in such a positive way of what I'm doing now with coaching. And I think you take from your mom and your dad. My dad passed 2 years ago and just what all of the Hall of Fame stuff and all of the amazing awards that he was able to acquire just to push me to that level of what I'm doing. And I think that has been so impactful for me. And so look, we talk about Nepo babies sometimes of like, I love being a volleyball Nepo baby. I think it's the coolest thing ever because I have such a cool background and foundation of where I've come from. I'm able to go off and do so many incredible things in the world, but just because I have that backing of my family, not that I get somewhere because of my family, but I get pushed because of my family too. I think it's such a cool, it's something about your bio that just stuck out to me so much that I was like, oh, that's incredible to come from a place of that push and inspiration.
Yeah, thank you. That's a lovely story as well. And I think the Nepo baby thing is, it's interesting, isn't it? Because whilst, of course, we don't want all opportunities just to go to people who are the offspring of those who have had the opportunities. Yep. I do think that if industries like yours, Arielle, and mine, you can have doors open for you, but if you can't walk through them and stay in that room, it's not, you're either good at volleyball or you're not. You can't just be in the team because you're the coach's kid. Yep. Same with, you're not going to be on live TV just because your dad was on live TV. It's just, and if you are, it'll only last about 10 minutes. Right. So I think, that is something that I think is thrown at people a lot, and it annoys me a bit because I'm afraid it's the world we live in. Doors are always going to be opened with who you know, whether you're related to them or you just know them. I help people all the time. And it's because they worked for me. They were my runner. It's just, that's the luck of the draw. And you've just got to make the most of the opportunities that come your way and then prove once you're through that door that you're in your own right good enough.
Yeah, I think that that's something that I want to pass to my children, no matter what industry they end up going into, like the work hard and stay in the room and be there because you deserve to be there is something that I hope that they take from me, that I took from my parents. That is a really cool thing. Yeah, they will. Yeah. Especially with all the incredible aunties and people around them too. Exactly. Like, they're going to be soccer superstars now. I'm sending them to Rebecca when they grow up. Exactly.
Feel free. I'll take them all. Perfect. I don't know if you ladies ever get the, the mum guilt situation with the working and the balancing of the time. I get that a lot. I really struggle with that, to be honest. But one thing that people always say to me, whether it's my husband or my mum, and they'll say to me, the example that you're setting. And I know that sounds like a really easy thing to fall back on, but when I really look at what Teddy sees every week, when I'm not just being on television and working for 8 hours and working hard, but the getting up on a Friday morning, taking him to school, getting the flight to the East Coast, which, if I was living in Connecticut where we used to live, it's still a really, really hard job, by the way. I just mean just the effort of every week, doing my prep every Thursday, going on a Friday, coming back late on a Sunday night, up again Monday morning, making sure I'm there to take him to school. I just want him to see that job gives so much, not just financial, but just gives me so much fulfillment and makes me so happy. And I really think that I want him to understand, whether it's him or somebody he shares his life with, you've got to try and do something that gives you that fulfillment. And it doesn't come at the expense of your love for your children. Actually, I think you're a better parent. I mean, obviously, there are lots of people who don't want to work, and I'm kind of envious, actually, sometimes. I wish I didn't want to work, but I do. It's who I am. But I do think that that's okay. It doesn't come at the expense of your love for your children. It actually shows them, if they want to be like that, it will give them a lot. Absolutely. I mean, how badass that Teddy gets to watch you weekly on TV. Like you are. It will 100% be worth it. I mean, to see you so amazing at your job, you've helped influence the game here in the US. So many people have welcomed football into their households because of you. Now football is more of a mainstream sport here, right? But
Teddy, like, oh, I wish you were my mom. Like that.
Volleyball needs you really badly. So if you want to come over and start doing volleyball, we would be happy to have you.
No, Arielle, you do not want me on the volleyball. Trust me.
Yeah, we'd love to see that actually.
Ladies, I have to tell you something. It's quite funny because Teddy is like, because he's only 8, so he gets it, but he also really, I mean, he's a baby, right? He doesn't really get it. So there'll be moments where I'll hear him in the back of the car with a friend, and he'll be like, "Do you watch Premier League?" And they'll say, "Yeah," and he'll say, "That's my mum." And I'm like driving the car, right? It's hilarious. And then yesterday he said to me, talking about a new friend at school, and I said, "Oh, does he like soccer?" He said, "Yeah. I don't know if he watches the Premier League, Mum, but I mean, he might, but he probably just switches off at halftime and after the game." And I went, so, what do you mean? He's like, "Well, he probably just watches it for the game." Okay, thanks, Pete. That's literally
that's
my
enough
job.
here.
I mean, that's enough. And it's hilarious. And I'm like, okay, fine. They're so honest, aren't they? And then he'll say to me, like, on a Sunday night, I'll call him after work on the way to the airport, and he'll say, "Mum, did you see the Arsenal goal?" Yeah,
like,
I was literally just doing that game.
You're like, "Honey, I saw all the goals."
Exactly. I literally saw them 1,000 times. How do you not know that? And I think what he does is he watches a game. He's so used to it now that when I come on, he literally just goes and plays soccer in the hallway. He's like,
"My mom's just on TV again. Yeah. It's not a big deal."
Yeah, it's just normal.
It's
right?
what's
just
normal
so,
for them. Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny.
You talked so much like about jet life, right? And we live a jet life too. But for real, you are like beast mode jet life. Thursday night, you take the red eye, or do you leave Friday morning after drop off?
So this will make you laugh and you'll understand this. The first 4 or 5 years of Teddy's life, maybe it was a few less than that, I took the red eye because it was the only night I could sleep.
Yeah.
I couldn't, I would actually get a night's sleep on a Thursday night and I wouldn't have to feed him. So I'd leave that with my husband.
That's
and
so
I'd actually
interesting.
sleep. And that was a dream. Thursday nights was a dream.
Yep.
And then as he got older and school became a bigger thing, I started thinking, you know what? Also, the red eyes are miserable, let's be honest. I mean, every now and then's fine, but they're pretty miserable.
The only time I've ever heard a red eye sound great is when you're feeding. If you're feeding every single night, a red eye sounds awesome in that sense. Like that's
get a night away.
Wonderful. Like, totally.
I was asleep before we even took off. It was incredible.
That's amazing.
As soon as he got a bit older, and I just thought, you know what? And also, he didn't really know if I was there or not when he was a baby. But then he got older, and I thought, I don't really want to be away for a whole nother night, and I want to tuck him in, and then I want to see him on a Friday morning and take him to school. So now what I do is Friday mornings are just completely normal. Like I take him to school Monday to Friday, and except that on a Friday, I then drop him at school, and then I go to San Francisco and I fly out of San Francisco. So it's a waste of a day in some ways, but because you lose the 3 hours with the time difference, and it's already a 5-hour flight. So I don't land until about 8 p.m. New York time. But it's not a waste of a day because I get another morning with him and I can do the school run and everything. So I'm going to do all my work on the plane. So that's what happens. And then I get there Friday night. And then it's weird because I live in Californian time, work on New York time, but also the show is English time because all the games are kicking off in England.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very weird when my alarm goes off at 3:30 in the morning on a Saturday morning. That's actually midnight in my head. But in England, it's 8:30. I mean, the whole thing is like a mess. And I do the show Saturday, show Sunday, fly home Sunday afternoon, and just crazy all over again.
Yeah,
beast mode, crazy time. Like it's insane. But you make it look like. I mean, do you believe in balance, or like how do you?
Yeah. Do you guys talk about anything else other than soccer in your guys' house?
Yeah, literally.
Funnily enough, actually, married to a football coach, former player. We don't talk about football a lot. When we do when we're watching games. So today we'll sit down and watch the games this afternoon, and we will talk about it then and maybe afterwards. But we've got millions of other things to talk about. We've got our kid. We've got loads of, and I spend my life talking about football on the TV. So actually, naturally, we just don't talk a lot about did you hear? Maybe if it's a big story, I'll say, oh my God, did you see that? But on the whole, we've got a whole nother world, and balance is so important to me. I actually have a little bit more time off in my current contract than I did in my last contract because I felt that I needed that with Teddy. I just felt like I needed to see a bit more of him playing soccer on a Saturday afternoon. I needed to make sure I could take his birthday weekend off. I needed to make sure I could take a weekend off before Christmas, so that we could spend some real quality family time together. And so coupled with the FA Cup weekends and the international breaks, I end up having about a weekend off every month on the whole. And then the great thing is Teddy finishes school on like Friday, May 23rd, and I finish on Sunday, May 26th. And we're both done for 2 to 3 months.
Oh, that's nice.
So we get every summer together. Yeah. So the balance is kind of feast or famine a little bit. I'm either working like crazy and feel like it's out of balance, or I'm not working at all. And ladies, let me tell you, by the end of July, I'm like, oh my God, I need to get back to work. Child, you need to go back to school. I can't cope. It's kind of, one way or the other often, but that's just, I don't think any woman who works and has a kid I haven't yet met anyone who is fully happy with the balance that they've created. It is so hard and you're constantly tweaking it.
Yeah. That's why I feel like I hate asking the question, like, how do you balance it all?
Yeah, it's just like you do it.
You just do it. You figure it out. You like prioritize something.
And then you change it if you need to. Yeah.
And there's like seasons of doing that, right? Like you talk about in the summer, that's your off time. That's your low season, right? So you get to prioritize your family, but there's going to be like imbalances throughout it all.
Especially with working moms. I think that the norm is the 9 to 5. And it's like that for the majority of the year. And you go through, like, that's what it usually is. For me, for Rebecca, for a lot of people, it's like, it's the feast or famine kind of schedule of like, sometimes we are crazy and nobody has time to sleep, eat, or breathe. And then there are times where we've got way too much time together and we're like, get back to school. We can't do this anymore. Like it's very feast or famine in our household as well.
Yeah. Like after Christmas break.
Yeah, definitely after Christmas break. You're like, goodbye, children.
After any school break.
I do think there's something about women as well, with all respect to men and my husband who does so much in our family. There's something weird about women that we look back at times in our life. And I'm sure you've both had this exact moment where you think, how did I do that?
Yeah,
I don't know how I did a red eye on a Thursday night with a newborn, got back on a Sunday night at 10 p.m., was doing the 1 a.m. feed that night, the 4 a.m., because I felt like I had to do it because he was my baby. And he was like, and how I left for the Olympic Games 3 months after giving birth, I'll still never know, because I still feel like I've actually got a scar on my heart leaving him. Not that he has a clue. He doesn't even remember I went to the Paris Games, let alone the games 7-8 years ago. They don't remember anything.
So true.
So true.
It's unbelievable.
I know.
But I just think women have a way of just doing it, getting it done in the moment. And then later they go, Jesus, how did I do that? I just do think they have a way. Yeah.
It's so true.
See y'all in therapy.
But it is so true. We just do it. We find a way. Yep. We get it done. We can multitask. And like, even I remember the first flight I left Olivia on when she was a newborn, and I still feel like you do. I feel that pit in my stomach, but life goes on. We have to do things, and it's going to be worth it in the end. And like you said, Teddy and my girls, they don't even remember the shit we were gone in when they were 2 years old, let alone 6 years old. Right. So it's all worth it.
I have to tell you this. I've told this story before. I remember when I went to Tokyo for the Olympic Games, the one that was delayed, 2021. So he was 5.5 years old, right? So 5.5, you might remember something. I recorded 22 bedtime stories on my phone. And every day at the Olympics, I sent my husband one and he sat it up and he played it to Teddy. So for 22 straight nights, right? About 2 months ago, I brought this up. I said, oh, remember when I did that? He was like, what? Sorry. I'm sorry. You're telling me I recorded 22 bedtime stories for basically nothing because you have no memory of it at all.
But you remember it. You remember it.
You feel good.
You remember it, and you were able to get through it because you were able to do that.
Probably
so that
I know, but it does. It goes to show that anyone listening who has little ones, that they're feeling guilty, they're missing things out, or their kid's going to feel a certain way if they leave and go to work. They're fine. They are fine.
I mean, I left my girls last summer for 34 days, and I think my husband struggled more than the girls. The girls were like,
the girls were like, whatever.
Life goes on. We're gonna FaceTime mommy. Like,
I think it also like once the kids get older too, it's really interesting on when that affects that. I remember my dad being in season and me having high school games and my dad not being able to be there because he was in season too.
Yeah.
And now I look back on it and I'm a parent and I see that and I'm like, oh, that's why, like when I was in the moment, I was an angsty teenager and I was pissed off or whatever. Now I look back on it and I'm like, he was doing that so that I could do this now. And I could that's an incredible, I think that you make these choices and it may not be for that moment specifically, but it can be for something else down the road as well for people to take from. I think it's, parents are killing it.
Amazing.
And I know we have to leave shortly, but I think, Rebecca, what I love and appreciate most from you being in the industry too is like how much you give back to women who want to become in the industry, how much you support street soccer in Sacramento, how you've shown up to California Storm events, my former team who I'm on the board with. Like, you don't have to do all that. And I know you've talked about it before. You haven't had a ton of support from other women. Like, why is that so important to you, and spend so much time on that?
I think the street soccer and California Storm, I'm selfish really. I get so much reward and fulfillment myself from spending my time there with so many inspirational people. That's a very simple side of it for sure. And I will continue to do as much of that as I can. I mentor, at the last count, maybe 6, maybe 7, mainly women, young women, one young man, who want to do what I do. Most of them don't want to do soccer, of course. They want to do NFL or NBA or something. But one day there'll be somebody who wants to do soccer. And that's really important because, like you said, Leslie, I didn't have a lot of help. I mean, I would say I had the opposite. I heard Carissa Thompson on a podcast the other day saying that she actually had the same thing. She said that she had hardly, in fact, the opposite of help. She had women stand in her way. She had women elbow her out the way, stitch her up, undermine her. I had very similar, especially in my very first 10 years in England. I really struggled with finding anybody who would let me in or would show me the way. And I don't really blame them, actually. I just think that the time in the world back then was so difficult for women to break through that if one person had done, it was like, box ticked, we don't need anyone else. So if another woman came near that woman's job, she was terrified for it because it wasn't like people were employing 2 or 3 women for the same show. So I don't blame them. I just know that I don't want to be that way. There are more jobs now, but I just don't want to be that way. It was so terrible. And it was one of the reasons why I almost left the industry. So now I do what I absolutely can to guide these girls and this guy in the direction they want to go. I try to speak to them very regularly and set up meetings, but I just try to do everything I possibly can to make their journey a little bit easier than mine was.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Rebecca, I'm so glad that we got to meet you.
I know. I'm like getting emotional because I'm like, thank you for doing what you do. You're changing the game here. You're empowering and uplifting women with all of the trajectory women's sports is on. There's also more space and opportunities for women to come into this industry. So that is also amazing. But because of you, you've helped transform and expand those opportunities. And we are so grateful. So grateful. I think that this transcends outside of just the one sport that you've been in. And it's such a cool thing to be surrounded by women that are pushing everything forward like this. It's so cool. So thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. In the garden. On Redefined.
I love it. I love the garden. I love you guys with this new pod. I'm so happy, so honored to be a part of it. I wish you all the luck in the world with it. And I'm, again, so appreciative to be invited. Thank you so much for having me and good luck with it.
Thank you. You too. Rebecca is like, she's so down to earth, but she also has this like personality where you just like want to hang out with her. Totally. It's infectious. She reminds me of you a lot, actually. What was that? I feel like she like is like so jet setty, like wanting to do a million different things and wanting to go and like be all she's just totally infectious with the way that she talks. I just want to go get drinks with her and hang out. And, I finally got to meet her in person 3 years ago. And I was just like, this makes sense. This makes sense. Yeah. Right. Like she's also so incredible at what she does. Like we didn't even talk about all of her Olympic coverage. Yeah. The Kentucky Derby, like part 2. Yeah. We need to have her back on. Let's have her back. That's it. I want to know about the Kentucky Derby. That's so, And all of her Olympics, 8 of them for 10 years? Yeah. And she just does it with so much grace. Even when she talks about it, like, I don't know, jet life, we both live the jet life. But for her, every week, a Friday to a Sunday night, East Coast, you're up at 3:30 in the morning, working. With the baby, baby. Yeah. Wild stuff. Wild. And now Teddy's 8. He's playing games. Yeah. He's active on the weekend. So for her, Monday through Thursday, and her talking about that, like just doing the little things and not being like a super mommy. Yeah. I think it's cool for moms to hear, women to hear that
there are women out there doing this stuff or have done this stuff, and the stories about that. When you talk about me, I took Hallie on a flight at 10 days old, and like you went to the World Cup, and you're like all these things that like you hear it, and when you're in it, especially with your first baby, it feels so impossible.
The first is different.
It's so different. There's nothing like your first baby, and trying to figure it out. And then you hear these stories of people who do these things, and you're like, wait, hold on, okay. Like, I think I can do this. I think I've got this. And then with your second or your third, it's like it's okay, fine. Just get in the car.
You're good.
You're fine.
You're good. And just like how much she like wants to give back and mentor women, you know, like for her growing up in the UK, like I feel like I had so many incredible female role models around me that were like uplifting me. And so when she was talking about that, I like didn't resonate with that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a competitive industry in the TV broadcasting world, but like in soccer, like I look at the Mia Hamms, the Brandy Chastains, the Julie Foudys, the women that came before me that helped pave the way. They were uplifting. They were empowering. They like wanted to take us under our wings. Yes, they demanded a shitload from us. And if we weren't doing our job, we would get reprimanded on the field.
Totally.
But it was in a way that we're like, no, we're trying to make you better and we're trying to bring you along.
Yep.
And so I feel fortunate that I didn't have those experiences as she has, but it makes sense why she's so passionate about giving back and role modeling other people in the industry.
100%. I think that my sport needs a lot more of that, man. Back when Lululemon was coming out, those Align spandex were like the rage, and they still are because they still have lasted me this entire time. I'm pretty sure I still have Align spandex from when I was in college.
I mean,
which was like last year.
Shut up. I mean, the only time I'm not in Lycra or Lululemon is when I actually have to wear like professional clothes.
And honestly, I like to put my Lululemon Align leggings on and just dress them up anyways. So I'm wearing Lycra even when I'm trying to be professional. Right. I can't even be professional, so it doesn't even matter. But
you're very professional.
Lycra helps me be professional.
It does. Yeah. It does.
Weekly flex.
What's yours?
My weekly flex is that all of the month of December, I got to live the volleyball lifestyle.
Yeah, you did.
My Decembers and my Junes are like volleyball life. And hopefully I'm adding a couple more really fun volleyball events to my calendar this year. But in December, I went to the Final Four. We sat in a box at the Final Four, and we were like going to all the parties and doing the whole thing. We had multiple tournaments that we were at. So we were like hopping all over the country and going on our little volley bender. And
jet life.
It's just so much fun when we like get into it. I'm actually really looking forward to the day that I start to like bring my kids on those trips. Because I like to have fun.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll bring some. Maybe bring Hannah. I'll bring Hannah with us.
Support.
Yeah. But like going on those trips and stuff is such like a fun, like bopping around, seeing all the people, doing all the things, it's definitely something that I don't think that everybody realizes can be like, it can be such a lifestyle.
Totally.
And then December is my volleyball lifestyle.
Well, my weekly flex was organizing Heyo, one of my best friends, my former teammate of 25 years, her 40th birthday party in Manhattan Beach.
Girls trip.
There were 14 of us.
You guys make it to Shellbacks?
We did. Okay. Do you want to hear a funny story?
Yes, I do. Okay.
We were at Shellbacks.
Yeah.
There's 14 of us.
Daytime, nighttime.
Nighttime, post dinner.
Yep.
We've got some pretty cool people like, you know, that are recognizable, but like, of course we're trying to like slide in there. Like nobody noticed us. Like when I walked in, I was wearing trousers and I was thinking these 21-year-old girls probably think I'm speaking on a panel because I looked so professional compared to them.
Like, so what are you doing here?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe they're not going to recognize an Abby Wambach or an Alex Morgan or Sid LaRue because these girls are babies. These kids are babies. Okay. So we're all like having a drink, dancing, talking, singing this like, I don't know, horrendous song. And these two older dads walked in holding a trophy, a soccer trophy.
Oh.
And I see Heyo, she like kind of looks at me. She was getting prepared. She thought they were coming to her with the trophy. Like someone had told them that the US players or soccer people were at Shellback. So I could see her. She like kind of repositions herself.
This is the worst part about getting recognized is because you're kind of like expecting it and you don't know what to do. But then you're like, wait, am I a narcissist?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
So I can see her like rearrange the guys. So say, excuse me. And they walk through us and go right to the bar.
They won their intramural soccer league, didn't they?
It gets better. So they get to the bar and Heo and all of us are like, what's going on? And they're like, can you fill our trophy with beer? So the Shellback people were like filling it with trophy.
Absolutely. We've done this 7 times today.
Exactly. So we were all like, what is going on? Like all of us were kind of surprised. We're like, let's get back to like, regular programming. So Hey was like, I wonder what they're doing with the soccer trophy. I'm like, whatever. So we're having a good time. The guys like turn around. They start talking to each other. Heo takes the trophy for them and go hides it in the corner of Shellback.
As one does.
Right? Yeah. And so we're like, we're all like, oh my God. So they're talking. And the dad looks around and he's like,
where's my trophy?
Well, no, before he asked where his trophy was, he said, are you Abby Wambach?
Of course.
And Abby's like, yeah.
Hello.
And he was like, oh my God.
He's like, where's my trophy?
Where's my trophy? He's like, where's my trophy? And we're all like watching him panic, right? Because we still don't know exactly why he's in here with the trophy.
Sure.
And Heo like goes and gets it and just want to see him freak out for a second. They're like, our daughter's just won state. And we're having a party and we needed some more beer. And all we were doing was coming over to get beer.
Wait, that's so funny. That's really cute. So cute.
And then they were like, and we didn't know the U.S. soccer players were here. And
also, like, can you come to our party?
They're like, can we take a picture with you?
That's really cute.
It was really cute. But I told Ricky, I was like, I can imagine you at the girls' soccer tournament. They won a tournament. The dad's like,
totally.
So, right? Like going 100%. To the bar to get beer. So anyways, it was a cute story.
Wait, that's so cute.
But the reason why my weekly flex is so important to me is like, as you know, gathering athletes
is so hard.
Is so hard. Like current athletes, retired athletes. It felt like such a huge win to have 10 people flew in.
Yep.
The other 4 were local LA residents, but it took a lot.
I'm sure.
For us 14 former USA players to be together like good old times. And we did all of the things. We worked out together. You
guys went viral.
Oh yeah. For
your competition, for your hanging competition.
Yes. Because Kelly O'Hara and Abby Wambach told us, if you can hang for 60 seconds.
People are like really into it.
Well, do you know why? It's an indicator of your overall health. If you can, like this grip,
something about that. Yeah.
I'm like, I haven't hung from a bar in 2 years, but sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So Kelly O'Hara.
You got third.
I got third. Top 3.
Top 3.
When you said I lost,
I was
like, I got top 3.
It was like, it was so cute. It was such a cute video.
It was cute. Yeah. We had such a blast. We did nothing, but we did all of it. We did all of our amazing things together when we used to live in LA, and it was such a fun weekend. So fun. That's I think that's a weekly flex to get everybody together.
Definitely a weekly flex.
Weekly flex.
For as much as we work out, this is so, we're
you
so
like. You can't even see my muscles. Can you see these?
Okay, that's a wrap.
That is a wrap.
Thanks for listening. If you got all the way here, thank you so much for sticking with us.
Yeah, it's only going to get better, folks. Make sure you like us, you follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Follow our socials.
Yes.
On Instagram, TikTok, if it's there, some new app that might be coming out. We might be all on something new. Follow me there. It's probably going to be at Arielle Houlihan and at Leslie Osborne.
Yeah, I'm also doing a lot of TikToks.
Yeah, big TikTok girl now.
Till tomorrow
when it gets banned. Yeah, thanks for listening. We love you all.
See you soon.